Hello, my friends, and welcome to Tweet Talk TV. This is the Circle of Wisdom with Christopher OneFeather. I am standing in today for the normal moderator, Iwana White. She's actually performing in an opera in Europe and needs some extra time to rest up, so we wish her a lot of goodwill. Master OneFeather, it's so good to see you. It's been a couple of weeks. We've all been through it with the retrograde and whatnot. How have you been, sir?
Well, very much an observer right now. I think everything is really kind of, if you notice the planets, they're kind of spreading apart, and it seems that a lot of elements in our lives are doing that right now. It seems like we're not getting that cohesive, this is the absolute answer, this is where I want to go, this is what I want to do. But I think whimsy is a part of the layout of the planets right now, or at least from my perspective, what's going on there.
Well, I would say very much the same. I think that I wouldn't say that 2014 has come into any focus yet. And for me, I think we're all about to make a magical mystery tour here, probably through the portal of our emotions. This week, Jupiter will go through 3 degrees in 1 work week. So it will seem extremely accelerated. It already transferred a degree in the last 24 hours, and by the full moon on Saturday, Jupiter will be at 29 Cancer, which is a Cancer ruled degree, and of course the final degree of it. So I kind of think people are being pulled almost underwater through their emotions to complete this transit at the last moment. And many people kind of didn't put it off, but they didn't understand the depth of what they were feeling.
Yeah, that definitely I think is true. And the 29th degree of any sign is a fascinating degree because it is the synopsis. It is the complete integration of all of the elements of that sign that you have experienced during either the transit or during that placement in your chart as far as past lives. So I've always been very tuned in to the 29th degree of any of the houses, simply because I have a 29 degree 58-minute ascendant.
Wow, 58 minutes? Like you're just like...
I got 2 minutes for the tiniest amount of Earth in my chart. I mean, everything else is fire, water, and air, and I have a lot of air in my chart. So
you're like a fish, like just holding on by a thread, then I guess, in a giant current, huh?
Yes, it definitely has been that way most of my life, and so this, thank God, this one isn't squaring anything in my chart. As it hits this 29th degree of Cancer, it will in fact be sextiling my ascendant and trining my natal Mercury. So I'm ready to enjoy it, ready to just roll with it. But for people who have a 29 degree placement in their chart in either Virgo or Aries, they're going to get that square energy, and 29 degrees of Capricorn is going to give them a kind of a smack upside the head with that absolute, opposition to whatever is in their chart that's sitting on that point.
Absolutely. The 20th degree is a master's degree, in my opinion. I mean, it is a master's degree, and the cool thing about it is the 2 and the 9. 9 is that completion vibration as well, and it's difficult. It really, no matter what sign or what planet the 29th degree is in, it comes down to a person managing the passion and emotion of the issue. I find.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's an intensely emotional degree. Yeah.
Well, and it's a big synopsis. It was why did you feel this way? What caused you to feel this way? What were the elements that were, relevant during this passage? So it is a very deep and frequently cathartic placement. And then it flips over and we get the 30th degree of Cancer, which is the 0 degree point of Leo.
Yeah.
So we get a few days there where it's definitely in limbo and exerting a little bit of a flex on both sides of the chart there.
Absolutely. The orb, and actually what I have been teaching lately is what you want to focus on in those last degrees, like when you're in 26, 27, 28, 29. It's very much like Buddhist in the sense that when you're at the end of a cycle, you want to focus on the basics in the beginning, like back to the basics of that cycle, which is in Cancer would just be honoring your feelings, I would imagine, just, honoring your feelings, not ignoring them, allowing them to flow through you. Those are kind of the basics of Cancer, and in these final degrees, I would probably recommend that.
Exactly, and also your relationship with the idea of home and family and nest. Because Cancer is that place at the bottom of the chart where we all retreat to our safety net. The hermit crab carries its home on its back, and in many ways, we carry an image of home and an attitude about home with us no matter where we are on the planet during the course of our life. So a lot of emotional issues may be coming up around family dynamics and childhood and those elements too.
100% true. I think that our emotional field, one thing I've learned in my research with the clients over the years has been that, first of all, the emotional field is the foundation of all manifestation on Earth. So if you are out of touch or your emotional field is littered, then you will manifest with those ornaments in your tree.
Oh, exactly.
And we all of us on Earth have a difficulty with emotion. I think that you look at the other planets, and there are no other planets except for Pluto, if it's still a planet, but that have a moon that's 1/3 the mass of that planet. Earth has a moon that's 1/3 the mass of it. So that tells you, in proportion, how important emotion is to the human race. And I think that in this last couple days here, right before everything moves into Leo, Leo is going to inspire the heart, but the heart can only live in a pool of good self-nurturing emotion, I believe. So this is kind of like the last clean out before we can bloom, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely is a crucial time, I think, for clearing and cleansing. And one of the things that I've been kind of feeling and experiencing here, I had a friend who does soul retrieval work. Her name is Eve Crow. I'll put a little plug in for her because she is really quite brilliant at what she does. And Eve did a soul retrieval for me 2 days ago, and it was very interesting because the next 24 hours I literally went through hell as far as, a wild ride with my physical health. And I think I'm still, coming out of that cycle, but I think that it was a very appropriate moment for me. And I recommend for the next week here, if you can do any kind of work on releasing these darker images and these addictive ideas that are buried in the subconscious, this is a good time to do so.
100%. This is your opportunity. And the cool thing is Jupiter will pay for it. When Jupiter energy is there, I have found that Jupiter is interpreted as fortune, but Jupiter is really pushing for expansion of awareness. And so when it expands your awareness of that part of your life, things fall down. It's like when you expand that, things start to fall down, and Jupiter usually ends up paying the hospital bill or some sort of remedy to whatever you go through, in the first chaos of it falling down. One thing that makes this particular Jupiter transit more intense is we went through this, folks, in 2002 the last time when Jupiter was in Cancer, and I very much attribute the emotional shift of 9/11 as the most memorable part of that Jupiter and Cancer transit. The entire Earth was sad and went through an emotional transit that time. Now, 12 years later, we're going through this same transit again, but the difference this time is that we have Uranus in Aries, which is asking to innovate the male side of energy or the ego side of energy. And we have Pluto in Capricorn, which is asking the universe to completely break down and rebuild our laws, Pluto and Capricorn. And this time, Uranus and Pluto are direct squared at 13 degrees, which is a very cosmic number of change. It literally is the tipping point. To me, 15 degrees, Christopher, is after the change has happened, and things get smooth again. 13 is where you see kind of havoc, and Pluto stays at 13 the rest of the year. So it's like at this time we're being asked to let go of an emotional side of ourselves, and with it may go an old ego, and with it may go an old rule structure. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
Yeah, I think you're definitely very on point with that. I think that I think also the way we treat the various elements in our physical existence is going to be coming under review during this period, because we are, I mean, Capricorn is all about our investments, our tangible, visceral, physical experience. And so, yeah, those things are going to be challenged, and the things that are meaningful for you, the things that, that you want to advance with, or that you want to completely release, I think are going to really show up on the radar over this next 6-month period.
Would you say, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but when you say material, I mean, are we talking, in your opinion, stock market, earth tragedies with weather, that sort of thing?
Well, yeah, but also our personal possessions, the things that, we've accumulated in life, and the reason we have attachments to those things. Why do you drive a Volkswagen instead of a Cadillac?
Right.
All these different, in your mind, all these different rational beliefs that are structured simply on prejudice. So, you're prejudiced against or for, ecology. So that's why you buy the Volkswagen or the Prius instead of the big gas guzzler. So it's all a matter of your being able to look at your own belief system, your own belief structure, and ask yourself, is this valid? Is this a realistic opinion that I've held dear to my heart for all this time?
I completely agree. And the way I kind of phrase it, I always go back to the American Revolution for this one, with Pluto and Capricorn, in the sense that you had what the king wanted as far as what the laws were. The people were resisting to the taxation without representation and all that sort of thing. And with Pluto and Capricorn, it's not that there's a right way to do it. It's that it's time to find the best practice.
Yeah, it definitely is time to find what is for the greater good of the greater population. So,
yeah.
And of course, Uranus is definitely creating a certain amount of stress around that, because Uranus in Aries is all about what I want, and to hell with the rest of you people. So there is definitely some challenges going on between those two planets as they interact there.
Very good point. Yeah, and the last time that Uranus was in Aries, folks, was really kind of the Great Gatsby period, leading into basically Hitler building up the arsenals. Was the period. And then, strangely, I was looking at World War II stuff, Master OneFeather, a lot in the astrology of it, because I was just curious about the baby boom, because Jupiter is moving into Leo, which means all children who have Pluto in Leo, the Pluto and Leo generation, which is commonly known as the baby boom. This generation will have, probably this is the last pure Jupiter and Leo investment while they're in their 60s and still very hot and capable, So this is really the last opportunity for baby boomers to heal that Pluto and Leo issue they were born with. Now, my interpretation of Pluto and Leo is that your heart was broken already when you were born, and you were dealing with that as a soul and dealing with the repercussions of that. So with Jupiter moving into Leo, it's going to be interesting to see if this generation that started out picketing and saying things need to change, now that they run the AARP, now that they are the richest generation on Earth, will they surrender to their hearts, or will they pass and and retire unhappy?
Pardon me.
Go ahead, sorry. I set you up and didn't let you know I was passing. Well, I'll just say this, that Pluto went into Leo right when Hitler invaded Poland, right?
Exactly.
1938. And Uranus moved into Taurus, and I could not believe this, but the day that Hitler went to, the day he invaded to reclaim the old Rhineland, Saturn was dead conjunct his sun at 0 degrees, and it was the first day Saturn was conjunct his sun at 0 degrees. So the first day that Saturn conjuncted his sun, he invades another country, and I thought to myself, he must have had an astrologer or just the blind luck.
Well, probably a little bit of both, but it's well documented that he had astrologers and magicians and
Oh yeah, he was.
occultists, and yeah. So, and at the same time, he condemned the ones that didn't show up in the right paradigm for him. It was kind of interesting how he did have some very interesting issues about that. But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and
that actually.
yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I was just going to say that actually is my generation. I have Pluto at 9 degrees of Leo in my chart.
Oh
And
wow, I had no idea. Ah,
yes, sitting down there at the nadir of my chart, right on the fourth house cusp. So,
wow.
and I'm very much a keen observer of the activity of Pluto. And prior to that generation of the baby boomers, as you were talking about, we had the Gatsby era, and that was a group of people who referred to themselves as the lost generation. And I also thought that was kind of interesting because a lot of them became dispatriots. If they had any kind of success as far as intellectual attainment, they relocated from wherever they were to
Mm.
some other place. Half of America's writers and painters ended up in France, and so it was a very dismal period in a lot of people's minds. They felt very disconnected, and they just felt like they were floating with no real sense of direction or answer, or what do I do next kind of thing. So it is interesting how that was the beginning then of an era of strife.
Yes, absolutely. And Pluto in Gemini was the cause of World War One. And if you know your World War One history, it literally was a war caused by a miscommunication. It
Hmm.
literally was a war caused by an assassination, miscommunication. Everyone just assumed, and boom, the world was at war. So Pluto in Cancer, that's Hitler's generation. They were the ones that went through the Great Depression. And the way I look at the Pluto Cancer is each Pluto Cancer generation, who were the ones who actually fought the war, they all had major issues with emotion, major issues with how they managed their own emotional field. And it's interesting just that the horrible atrocities of that war really do reflect an emotionless generation. I mean, the Nazis clearly had zero compassion for human beings, zero.
Well, and we
And
saw that on the other side of the world with the Japanese.
yes, exactly, the kamikaze and just zero regard for your feelings. You're just going to kill yourself, and you're going to do it for the emperor.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very desperate period, but I think it also propelled the baby boomer generation with that desire to not let this happen again. And of course, the way that we manifested that was by creating the internet and creating the technology, so that communication became the vehicle whereby there was a commonality created. We all begin to understand that we're all part of something happening here on the planet.
Hmm.
So we stepped away from the isolationist mentality that the planet had been bogged down in for the previous, 10,000 years.
Hmm. That's true. Well, the baby boom, no question. I mean, the way I look at Pluto and Leo, when I give personal readings, and if any baby boomer wants a reading, this is the time. The issue is that your soul had an issue with protecting Pluto is protection, really, Pluto is protection in disguise. The Pluto energy is about protecting and about putting an eye protect barrier around you. So this whole generation really shared the same problem, that they failed to protect their hearts on one degree or another, you know. And so this is really about, I think this is why they went out open-hearted in the 60s into the world, and without any protection. Even JFK, like, he didn't even have any protection in the parade he got killed in.
Right. Exactly.
You know, it's like that was the naivete of the entire duration. However, that pure dose of love on the planet that they gave us, I think, changed our perception forever. Like, for the first time, like you said, this is maybe the first belt of love since the Renaissance. Probably since the Renaissance. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely.
The baby boom was the first since the Renaissance, with the music and the Beatles and just all the Neptune and just wow.
Well, and we continue to see that swinging pendulum, because after the Renaissance, we saw that era of ultra-conservative Christianity that proliferated in the 16 and 1700s throughout Europe, and of course it contaminated North America, and we're finally stepping out of that era of this stringent vision of God as a punitive beast who's going to beat you into a pulp for no real reason other than he's just pissed off at life.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. I mean, religion clearly went corrupt, and separation of religion and state in the last Pluto Capricorn era, that was a very important law to put down and put in place. But Master OneFeather, I almost worry we've gone too far into technology, atheist, disconnection, and I also worry about a Nazi state growing here in the United States with our these laws that are allowing us to, send drone planes around our citizens. The NSA is not being slapped for its stuff. As a baby boomer, what does your heart feel about this? You guys were the first to speak out against this type of corruption, and I would say, unfortunately, it's only gotten worse.
Well, I think it's always, again, the swinging pendulum. It's going to go so far, and then it'll swing in the opposite direction. And we've seen that in the past where it gets too liberal. I mean, if you really want to be technically honest, if you look at the era from the end of the Civil War to the beginning of the Industrial Age, what we think of as the cowboy era, that was where there was absolutely no limitations. People were completely free of any inhibiting factors within society, and there was just as much chaos within that. So really, I think in order for the pendulum to find the center point, it has to continue that back and forth journey until eventually we recognize what's happening, and then we can wind down from the intensity of those wild swings in either direction.
So true. And you're right about that swing from the Civil War on. I mean, with Neptune and Pisces, you could get heroin, people were on drugs, Rockefeller was ruthless, the rich people who were in charge of the country in the early 20s were buying the presidency. There was really no limitation. It was just a complete wild affair, and if you didn't, if you were, think of the Jesse James, all these criminals that pretty much got away with it, So you're right, the swings are the swings. It's very interesting. Well, you want to maybe change topics? We should get a little brighter, I guess, and talk about what might be happening good right now, huh, Master One?
Well, absolutely. Of course, Jupiter moving into Leo, that's that fourth chakra area, astrologically. Oh, yeah. So we're going to be working on uniting the two elements, the lower half, the lower three vibrations with the upper half. So I see this as a very optimistic period that we're about to step into.
I concur, actually. I see nothing but optimism ahead. And the honest-to-God truth is, I'm just, my advice to all my clients is your heart's going to fill with love, and it's like, in this case, protect it and go down the right path. Take advantage of this fertile moment from God and plant some real nice seeds for yourself.
Exactly.
So do you have maybe a card for the day to start the day off?
Yeah, it's an interesting card. I was kind of surprised when this one popped out. It's the Justice card.
And wow.
And that gives us that image of balance coming to, again, that midpoint with the swing of the pendulum. But also, I got a strong impression that the rest of this week and next week is a time to finish up all of the busy work that you have as far as legal commitments, even silly things like taking care of old parking tickets, stuff like that. Because I do feel like today and tomorrow and Friday are days when we have a strong vibration of um, having the system work on your behalf instead of you being under the
Oh,
wheel of the machinery, I guess you could say.
that card might be
So,
for me because I was late to the show due to legal issues. I was like, oh crap. So that's good.
mhm.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I think that this is a very auspicious card because the outcome, I think, is going to be better than we're anticipating.
I think so too. Honestly, it's about the Jupiter in Cancer is more about the feelings, which don't always last forever and aren't always valid to what the future is. It's just how you feel right now.
Exactly. Hmm.
Yeah, and clearing that out. So, well, that's awesome. So we got the Justice card for today. That's great. I'm going to switch over and see if we have anyone in our chat. And I'm happy to say that we do have a lot of people in our chat. This is a good time to tell everyone that we have a new website. Soul Garden 8.0 has launched. I'm so excited. This is a high-definition human development portal. It is capable on any device. We can finally reach everyone worldwide. And we have a new theater called Tweet Talk Theater. If you come to tweettalk.tv, you can see us live. You'll also see a link to Master OneFeather's show. And you can buy a reading with Master OneFeather. He's got a beautiful page now on the new soulmart.me. You'll see his availability. You can get 15 minutes or 30. It's really worth the time. And if you haven't wrapped up this emotional stuff that we're talking about, like Master One, he can get straight to it, can't you, Master One? One card.
Generally, yes. I would say that my technique is kind of cut to the chase. That's the way I approach readings. So,
It's true. He does. I remember my first card. It was kind of, three realities all in right away. So actually, we have a great. We already have a line here in the Tweet Talk Theater. You guys, this chat is available on the right side of the screen to log in with your Facebook or Twitter, and that is available also on cell phones. It works on cell phones now. So if you want to log into the chat and see what's going on, post your question, your sign, and we'll get to it. And Master OneFeather, our first person in line, is named Wendy. She's a Virgo, and she would like to know which direction to go. How's that for nebulous? LOL.
well, the cards are being just as enigmatic. The
Oh
Eight
yeah.
of Cups.
Oh really?
Yeah. And within that card, leave the past behind. That's where you want to go, is toward the future, toward getting your life crystallized in the present. Apparently, you've been suffering from a certain amount of distraction from attachments to the past. And it's kind of like, you have the clarity that you know where you want to go, but these things from your past keep pulling you back into the old cycles, the old routines. So as or as we collectively are moving toward this coming full moon, I think it would be very important for you to isolate all these threads that connect you to past situations and cut them, clip them, get rid of them. And then with the arrival of this full moon, embrace this energy and allow this fullness to really be the release point for you.
Excellent. That's good. Would you say, when you say cut this stuff, would you recommend, Master OneFeather, that everyone out there, I got a lot of clients, for instance. I mean, I'm like 80% ladies is who I serve because they invest in themselves, which is great. Men don't always do that. But a lot of these ladies are getting readings with me, and they're asking questions about, these men that they have been kind of waiting around for forever. Are you saying this is a time to just say, cut that and go fresh?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think all of these old situations, it's obvious. The only reason you're holding on to it is because you're still of the belief that something is going to change. And, we get into that space of doing the same thing over, expecting a different outcome, is the fastest way to block yourself from any kind of evolutionary next step that I can think of off the top of my head. So yeah, you got to pull out the Bowie knife and cut the ropes.
Absolutely. And I will share with you, Wendy Mason says, oh my God, just unloaded a bunch of stuff this weekend to let the past go. And yep, still need to let more go. Thank you for validation, Master OneFeather. So that's great. That's great. We love those instant verifications coming back. Let's move on to the second one. That was great. Let's see. It is from Cancer Carly. We love her. She's aiming for financial abundance ASAP, because cancers are overdue for the good. What do you come up with, Master One? She asks.
Well, Carly, you have it right there in front of you. This is the Magician.
Yay, that's a good card.
Yes, and within the image of the Magician, within that idea, we have that recognition that the process of alchemy occurs as you take the resources that you have and transform them into the things that you need. So stop waiting, I guess, is the best thing that I could say right now. You have been waiting for the final go light. You've been waiting for the final signal. You've been waiting for the little, carrier pigeon to come out of the heavens with a message for you. And the universe is saying, what the hell are you waiting for? Go.
It's like that old joke about God sending 3 things to save you,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
let me ask you. Go ahead, sir. I was going
to say, right there in front of you, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it's all right there. All you have to do is get rid of the fog bank so you can see with clarity what you're capable of achieving.
Absolutely, and I guess what I was going to ask you, sorry to interrupt, was you're saying you've got it right there in front of you. So a lot of people, especially in today's modern age, I notice with my clients when I give readings, they're expecting an investor to come walking in. They're expecting to win the lottery. They're expecting for someone to completely believe in their idea, and the way the universe tends to work is get your tin foil, your construction paper, and your colored pencils, and get started now. You know what I mean?
That's absolute.
That depression attitude of like, roll up your tin foil. What do you got right now to get started? One of my friends, Cherise Landis, who also sells in Slow Mart, she always says, God always gives you what you need right now to get started. Always. You always have what you need to start today.
Exactly.
So, yeah, very powerful stuff. Well, thank you. That was great. Well, I'll tell you if she writes back here. Let's see. Moving on down the line, we have this is a good friend of ours. It's Jennifer Perry, who's an Aries. She wants to know, what do you see with my career? And I happen to know Jen teaches school, and she's off on summer break right now, so she's probably thinking about what to do by fall.
Well, interestingly enough, I get currently the energy around the career is 3 of Hearts, or 3 of Swords.
3 of Hearts. What is that?
Well, the 3 of Swords is a thrice-pierced heart. I see, a situation where there's a plateau that has been attained, and I think that the next step is getting into a whole different paradigm. And it does show the Last Judgment, and within that card you can see a complete resurrection, the phoenix rising from its own ashes. So I would say the next step for you is definitely taking your teaching skills and moving into a whole new direction. And one of the things I would recommend is look at what some of Rudolf Steiner's philosophy was, because Rudolf gave us some very, very powerful images of what real teaching and real education is all about. So I'm not saying that you should, necessarily become a teacher at a Waldorf school, but I'm saying if you investigate what Steiner had to say and what Steiner's envision was, I think you might find that would be a stimulant for some new directions and some new goals and infusion of new energy into your career.
That's good. And is that common for anyone with a 3 of Swords? Does that pretty much mean cut, break?
Yeah, it just shows that you're, whether you're recognizing it or not, you're feeling an immense amount of sorrow about whatever the topic is that we're discussing.
Mm.
because once the heart is pierced thrice, it's like
Yeah, right.
it's too many times. You've been
Right,
hurt
right.
too many times.
I never thought about that. Yeah, 3 is that charm, especially with pain. There's no question. That's funny.
Hmm.
Why don't we, if you don't mind, my son has been so patient here, sweet Miles. Are you live, Miles?
Yeah, I should
Okay,
be.
we're gonna let him do a live question if you don't mind, Master One Feather. What's on your
Well,
mind, Miles?
Well, I have someone that I like very much, and I want to know if I would ever have a chance with them.
Hmm.
well, interestingly enough, it shows that it's somewhat mutual. We got the lovers there, and
Whoa,
this is
that's good.
yeah, this is a dirty picture, Miles. So if you're under 18, don't look at it because these people are naked.
Oh,
But
it's okay.
the reality is that apparently this other person is as interested as you are. Um, I would say explore it, have fun with it, but also recognize within it there's a potential for you or the other person or both of you to get kind of bogged down with too much attachment. So have fun, but be the Gemini. Stay with that Gemini side of your personality and treat it like a butterfly. Keep it light. Have fun with it, because I think the person that you're attracted to could turn into like a vortex that could really suck you in. So enjoy, but don't get too committed, I guess.
Well, that's great. Miles, do you know what her astrology sign is by chance?
Aquarius, I think.
Hmm.
Oh,
Any advice on that, Master One?
well, Aquarius is an interesting sign because Aquarius, I would say, is the sign that is the most conductive. So you really have to look at the other elements in the chart of an Aquarius to get a good sense of who they are, because they are the ultimate chameleon, and they reflect whatever color paper that you place them on. So
Hmm.
when you're involved with an Aquarius, they're very bright, they're witty, they're very seductive, they're very playful, but they can also have a very dark side. And well, all of my Aquarian male friends collect knives and guns, so that gives you some idea as to where they want to go with things.
That's so funny. I have one thing about Aquarius that I have noticed is to not they come and go. They pop in and out like genies into your
Hmm.
life, and you can't let your heart get hurt by that. That's the way they are. They're weird. They come in and out like genies, and love them while you got them.
Hmm.
It's kind of my attitude. Also, my attitude with Pisces too, sir. No offense.
Well,
Love those Pisces
Pisces.
while you got them.
Yeah, well, Pisces, the problem with them is that they're in this continual fog bank, so they're never really sure if they're in or out themselves.
Right, right. So, well, that was excellent, Master One. Thank you for thank you very much. We have some people in the chat. I'll move up tier 1 second. We have, let's see, next up, by the way, Jennifer Perry says, thank you so much, Master One. She seems happy with that. She also said,
Cool.
bow chicka mau wow. I don't know what that means. So, could be something good. The next one up is Chrissy, who is a Pisces. She says she's come into her own one with the divine, vibrating with a very high level of trust, very revolutionary. Any messages she should be hearing at this time?
Well, you're getting a total validation. We have the Two of Cups, and this is a card of sacred union.
Wow.
But also within this card, look behind it. There is the Caduceus, and your union with Spirit is giving you a portal for very, very, very deep type of healing to come forth. And once you have experienced the healing, then you are obliged to become a healer yourself. So you're right on the periphery of a very profound next step.
Wow, that's great. Now, what does that look like practically? That you're gonna have a crazy dream, or you'll visit a place, past life memory? What does that threshold look like in practical Taurus terms?
Well, I think one of the things that will start coming up are reflections from attachments that you have to the past that you had forgotten about. So let's say somebody that you were in a very dynamic situation with 15 years ago that you'd completely forgotten about shows up, or you pass somebody on the street and they remind you of that person. And then you can take that journey into that old situation and finally be able to release whatever trauma or whatever, deeper connection that you had to those circumstances. And that in itself will be the portal where you can, continue your journey with a fresh sense of relief and release.
So it kind of sounds like a 12th house transit, the Two of Cups, huh? I mean,
it definitely
would that be
has
fair?
those overtones. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Interesting. Well, thank you for that. I'll get you some feedback. We have Michael Williams here too. That was excellent, Master One. Moving down the line, Jessica Lynn Grasso. We love her. She'd like to have a card. She wants to know if she should be hanging out with her ex or not, Master One Feather. What's the answer on that one?
Well, we have the wheel.
Wow. Wheel of Fortune?
Yes, and the wheel is spinning. It's time to move on. I would say, take that image of movement and generate some movement.
You heard that, Jessica? It's time to buy a vowel and move on.
Yes.
Wheel of Fortune. Well, good. Well, let us know. We get to hear from Jessica almost every week, which is fabulous. So let us know, Jessica, exactly how that turns out, because that'll be fun to pull another card on that one. Next one up is Krista Sagittarius with a Libra rising. She has to face her gifts and having the guts to do it. What am I here to do? She's scared to take this leap. Any advice, Master One Feather?
Well, interestingly enough, you're in a period of minor challenges. So the next...
What is that, like some sort of stud?
Well, it's a 7 of rods, and it means that there are what appear to be obstacles, but once you engage, you're able to easily overcome them. So the next few weeks may feel like, you're moving into undefined territory and experiencing some resistance from the universe. But the universe is just saying you have to get, you have to get that level of commitment to actually move forward. The outcome is the High Priestess, the awakening.
Wow, that's good, isn't it?
That's very good. It means that the subconscious is going to reveal itself in the form of visions or dreams or intuitive flashes over the next few weeks. I get a strong sense of being able to share these visions with a large audience of people. So start journaling, start putting together the elements for a blog, and I think that you're moving into a period where you will be getting messages for people, and you might want to see how you feel about that and see how prepared you are to engage on that level.
Wow, that's another. That's the second person you're kind of suggesting is moving into more of a formal light walker kind of position in life, right? I mean, that's what. Yeah, so we have, I guess God is putting out a new crop of light workers is what's happening here to some degree in this transition. And I'll just say this, being an opportunist, we just had a new section open up in the new Soul Garden 8.0 called Namaste Today. This is a super blog section, and it's open to the public. It's totally open. The idea here is to have a collective of searchable content and searchable information where everyone can come and just kind of deposit into Soul Garden what they know. So if you start wanting to blog about what you channel, we'd be happy to publish it just to let you know. So that's excellent. Let's see here. Moving on, Jessica Lynn Grasso says, thank you very much, Master One Feather, for that. I guess she's going to take on the Wheel of Fortune and get rid of that person. I hope he's not watching, but he just found out if he did. The next person is actually comes in from last week, I think, a hangover that we meant to get to. Estelle, a Virgo with a Scorpio rising. She wanted to know about her job. Is she in the right place right now? Any suggestions for her?
I would say patience. This is a 6 of rods, so you are in the right place, but I think the right time is still not here. And you're going to see everything kind of come into a new arrangement. And within that, you're going to be able to actually feel a lot more successful and able to advance. So right now, you just need to kind of hang on and go with it. and I think that circumstances will open up for you.
Absolutely, that was excellent. Um, as far as hanging on is concerned, hanging on, it seems like, I mean, not hanging on, but going with it. A lot of this end of Jupiter Cancer stuff, I think, is just going with the flow and letting it leave, right, Master One, you think? I mean.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's like the Borg. You know, when the Borg show up in your life, resistance is futile. So keep
Right.
that in the top of your mind.
Yeah, God will have her way. And in this case, pretty much, when it comes to emotion, pushing a square peg through a round hole is kind of sometimes the case. It's time to feel differently about something. And if you resist, it's just going to feel worse. So be careful. Absolutely. All right, let's see what else we have here. It's been a busy day. We've got a lot of viewers live today, too, folks. So do remember, if you're watching live and you want your card pulled, you can come to tweettalk.tv. We have a live chat room on the right. It's totally HTML5 savvy, and we're pulling from this chat. In fact, I'll give you an update. Krista Lehman says, wow, Master OneFeather, spot on. Move into the role, and I shall. And it is a book. And thanks, Christopher. I might do that to start, too. Oh, that was the blogger. That's great. So that's good feedback. Superb. Well, moving down, let's see. We just have a couple more. So if this is a last call for those who are around. And hold on, Master One. I'm clicking around things. The next question is from Teresa Thompson. She's all excited about how new our new site is. Thanks, Teresa. Would you please pull a card for me? It's a Libra relationship and career is what she writes. Libra relationship and career.
Well, right now we have the Five of Swords. One of the things that's going on with a lot of Libra people, and people have a strong Libra highlight in their chart, is Mars has moved through Libra and created a lot of chaos.
So true. We didn't talk about that. That's so true.
Yeah, and now Mars is finally accelerating, getting ready to leave the sign of Libra over the next month or so here. But I think that you have been glossing over certain circumstances in your life. And I think you need to be brutally honest with yourself. I think you're ready for, some major shifts. I think the next step is going to reveal itself. And the outcome card is the Eight of Coins. And this is a card of the student, but it's not necessarily going back to school. It is learning by doing things in a new way. So I see you going through a period of transformative growth, being to a certain degree a student of yourself, learning from yourself, and I think that's going to draw you into about a 1.5-year cycle of finding a new level of excitement in life on every level. So something very big is right on the horizon, and you need to get yourself prepared for that. You need to open yourself up to understanding and illumination, and be very honest with yourself, because right now you're giving yourself half answers.
Very good. That was excellent. We do have one last call that came in the last minute. It's Kay Bergeau. She's not sure if there's time, but she has a question. And she has a question about Uranus and Mars fighting in her dreams. So it's another Mars question. You bring up Mars and Libra. I choose to go with Uranus, not by choice, but wondering how bumpy is this going to be as and she has a Libra sun also. So this is the second Libra who is having some Martian effects, Master OneFeather.
Yes, and of course, Uranus is going to be sitting there in Aries for a while yet, so it is going to be flexing itself. And the real key to everything, and I think this is a great way to wind up the show, because this is the outcome for everything. This is
good.
Yeah, this is the universal card. It is the Ace of Cups.
Wow. New beginning.
And it's all about love. How much love can you put into everything that's going on in your life? If you hate some element of your life, the reason it's not changing is because you're hating it. As soon as you stand back and open yourself up to being able to love whatever it is that's a source of frustration, that's a source of blockage, that's a source of angst, when you get to that state where you are no longer resisting or trying to transform it with your own desired outcome, when you can get into that space of love, then everything will shift. And for you right now, you have to really recognize that anytime the word battle or war or fighting comes into mind, that's a strong indicator that what's happening. You're not loving. You're not putting your love into the equation. When you get out of your own way and put your heart source love into the equation, everything is going to shift, and it'll shift very rapidly.
That's really is a perfect way to end the show, Master OneFeather. And you know, in essence, it's like, I guess to add to that, it's as simple as, it's like, for me, I've just had a lot of anger and a lot of stuff coming up, and really, when you have that moment, love is almost the last thing you think of putting into it.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
That's the last thing I'm thinking. And so I guess to say, it's like, it will feel awkward. It will feel weird. It will not feel natural at first. But if you put love into it, that's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be freed. So, excellent.
That's the healing element. Yes.
Superb. Well, just as a reminder, you can get your own reading with Master One, and it's a lot more fun when it's one-on-one because he just zips into it. He's available at soulmart.me. He's got a 15 and a 30 available for you. He's also got a book out that does tarot, so if you're just starting to pull cards on your own, his book is a great resource. It's also available at soulmart.me. Did you want to add any final note, Master One?
No, I think that, I will mention that next week I will be down in the Southwest. I'll be in the desert for the entire week.
Okay.
So I probably won't be making my appearance on Soul Garden, but the following week I will be coming back with some treasures from the desert, so do stop by, and I'll share some blessings with you from the lizards and the scorpions and all of those desert-dwelling critters.
Yay! We look forward to that. And I say thank you to my son Miles for sitting through this. What a sweetheart. Thank you, honey. And we will see you guys all. I'm not sure if we'll see you next week or not. We'll put that out. Maybe Iwana will come back, and she'll talk for a week, guys, and give each of these two, give them a vacation. And we thank you, as always. Come on down to soulgarden.tv, where everything is at. We love you. We'll see you in 7 days. Until then, live, love, be.